Stephen Cassius for Rifle TV in association with MTK Global. We're at the press conference here for Crolla Burns, October 7th, Manchester Arena. I'm joined by three-weight world champion Ricky Burns. That sounds good, doesn't it?
How have you been getting on, alright?
I'm alright, all good. All
Manchester
good.
bound for this one?
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be good. Coming away from Glasgow to Manchester. But huge fight for you.
No, Joe. There was a few weeks ago when we were down, we were speaking, there were a few names mentioned. Anthony's name was mentioned. Joe, I'm sure he was the same, that we both had different routes to go down, but I think this was, both of us were looking for that fight to get us back into title contention, and I knew there was always a possibility of doing it at lightweight as well, which it's going to be good fun. I'm sure I'm going to be a pleasure to be around in this camp with the amount of the cutting out I'm going to have to do. But it's going to be a good fight. I'm looking forward to it.
After you lost to Indongo, people ask you the inevitable question: is this it for you now, Ricky? And are you going to retire? And you were quite adamant straight after that you're looking now for your next fight. That was in your head then.
People are still saying it now, and I've not even fought Anthony yet. Like, if you lose this, what are you going to do? I don't even think about that. Obviously, we know this is going to be a hard fight. Eddie had just said there that this fight possibility leading on to another world title fight. I didn't need any more incentive than I already had, but that's just topped it off for me. This is a fight that I'm confident in getting out and getting the win, and obviously with chance to fight for another belt, that's just sealed the deal.
When people call this, and quite a few people call this, a crossroads fight for yourself and Anthony,
that's right.
The winner can go on to fight for a world title, the loser will have to retire. But I'm not convinced it's entirely the case in either situation. But
no, not at all. People are always asking me that, and it just seems to be like the last year. That's all everybody's been saying. Oh, when are you going to retire? You've been fighting forever. That's 48 fights I've had now. Dropped about 48 fights, but I've never come out the ring with my face in a state. And I still enjoy training, and obviously the sparring side of it and the fighting side of it, which is the best part in my eyes. If there ever came a point where I was coming out fight after fight, or when you're in the gym sparring with all these youngsters, if you're taking too many punches, I would know myself when it's time to call it a day. I was saying there, I was like, I've still got a few big nights left in me yet, and I'm confident that 7th October is going to be one of them.
But hypothetically, if you was to have retired after the Indongo fight, surely you look back at your career and think 48 fights, three-weight world champion, surely you look back at that and think, that's something the majority of fighters don't accomplish in their careers.
I've still not looked at it. Honestly, I've still not looked at it that way. Not one.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, in my eyes, I'm not, and I've always said I'm not retiring till boxing's out of my system. The last thing I want to do is pack it in too early. A year down the line, you end up wanting to come back. So I want boxing fully out of my system. I want to hate training. I want to be totally fed up with dieting before I even think about calling it a day.
Well, it's a good attitude to have. Kevin Mitchell was talking about coming back the other day.
I'm actually surprised, right, he's waited this long, because I had him fighting months ago. Every time I see him, he's always laughing, because I'm always like, when's this comeback happening, Kev? I saw the day he's been out running with all day this morning, so you never know, it could be soon.
You never know. What do you say when people, and this goes to Anthony Crolla as well, they call you and Anthony overachievers in the sport? What's your kind of response to that?
I might have overachieved, obviously in some people's eyes, but I worked my arse off to do it. Obviously people, they see you turning up and fighting. Apart from obviously my family and my pals and that, they see what I do 2 or 3 times a day, 7 days a week, 12 weeks before a fight. I actually knock my plan in, and I've always said it as well throughout my whole career. I'm not technically the best boxer ever, but if you're going to beat me, you're going to have to be really good, or you're going to have to work for it. Because I know with the way I train, like I'm confident to get in here and going for it for 12 rounds. And I've always said my mental toughness, that's one of my best attributes.
So when people talk about this fight being that sort of crossroads fight, do you believe, in your opinion, you're victorious on October 7th? What for Anthony Crolla, in your opinion? Not that's really your kind of issue, but
no, you know, no matter what happens, both of us, it's not as if you look at who Anthony's his last couple of fights have been against, although he's lost to Linares, it's not as if he's been done in or knocked out, and it's not as if he's come out of the ring with like a proper sore face or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? And you're losing to guys at a high level, so no, I don't agree with that at all. It's like all these guys on social media and that are doing it. If they mess something, their day jobs. If they mess something up, and then before you know it, you've got 300 or 400 people on top of you like, oh, get him the sack, get out of work. Do you know what I mean? What's the same thing? In my eyes, boxing's my job.
These guys wanted this fight so badly.
Two fights I do want to ask you about. First of all, obviously this weekend, two fighters that you know very well, and I'm sure you'll keep an active eye on between Linares-Campbell, not this week, rather on the 19th, rather, off my head. Linares-Campbell and Terence Crawford. What's your thoughts on that fight?
Do you know what I think? Indongo will give him problems early on, the first few rounds, but I do see as the fight goes on, maybe mid to late rounds. If Crawford doesn't get him out of there, I can see him winning like wide points, but it might take him a few rounds just to figure him out.
Who were you more impressed with in the ring, from just solely based on their performances against you?
Awkwardness. Just because of the size and the length of his arms, definitely Indongo, but like skill set and just how he was always just one step ahead of you, Terence Crawford. You know, it's going to be a good fight with the two of them, but
it's going to be a great fight, yeah.
I'd favour Crawford.
And then obviously our very own Luke Campbell challenges Jorge Linares September 23rd in LA for the world titles. So again, what's your thoughts on that fight?
I know, it's going to be a good fight. Obviously the fight was announced, so it seems right up for it. I've done a bit of sparring looking at before. Obviously he's a good fighter, southpaw, very tricky. I think he can go, obviously, if he gets his tactics like, he can go out there and obviously, fingers crossed for him, go out there and get the win. But Linares is technically just a very, very good fighter. When you watch him, I know you can't really go on, you can't really look at it for the Crolla, because styles make fights obviously. But against Crolla, just technically he was very, very good. But like I said, look, Campbell's a totally different kettle of fish, just obviously style-wise. So I'm hoping he can go out there and do it.
Okay, Ricky Burns, thank you very much for coming to IFL TV, and I'm sure we'll catch up with you ahead of October 7th. So best of luck.
Yep.
Top man.
Cheers, man.